A variety of talented musicians have made their way to Rodney Square in Wilmington for the annual DuPont Clifford Brown Jazz Festival. Here with us is Claudio Roditi, who's our first person this week. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Michelle. It's nice to be here with you.
Thank you.
Beautiful day.
Exactly.
Good weather.
Yes, and perfect weather for you guys to come out and play.
Right.
But tell me, Claudio, you're from Brazil.
Yes.
You play jazz. Tell me a little about your style and the music you play.
Well, the music that I grew up listening to in Brazil was the bossa nova. In the early 60s, the music that became very big and influenced everybody. But at the same time, a couple of different situations, one of them being that my aunt Cida, my mother's sister, married an American man who was stationed in Brazil during the Second World War. And I went to spend some holidays with them. He was listening, not they, she wasn't into it, but he was listening to jazz. And I was already playing trumpet. I got my first horn when I was 9 years old. So I started to listen to that music that my uncle was playing. And he had some interesting music. He had Charlie Parker with Dizzy Gillespie and Miles Davis. And that was my introduction to jazz. And so what I do is basically combine these two loves of my life, musically speaking. Jazz and Brazilian music.
Awesome. Now, you developed your love around 10. You play the trumpet. Why the trumpet?
Oh, the trumpet, that's another story. There was a marching band in a school behind our house, and I used to hear the band rehearsing. And I was curious, one day I went into the band room and I saw these instruments, and when I saw and looked at a trumpet, I said, I want to play this. So it basically love at first sight.
Awesome. Now, I hear that you were pretty much influenced by Clifford Brown.
Certainly. If I heard Miles Davis and Dizzy Gillespie, the natural thing after that would be Clifford. And yes, indeed, one of my major influences, along with the great Lee Morgan that came from Philadelphia, and Clifford obviously from here, from Wilmington, Delaware. And to me, it's such a pleasure. I cannot tell you what an honor to be here at the Clifford Brown Jazz Festival. I met his widow, LaRue Brown, some years back, and had the opportunity of having dinner with her at one of these conventions, the IAJE, the International Jazz Educators. And that was one dream come true. Now this is another one.
Many people look forward to this event, Claudio. They really do. What are your impressions of Wilmington in this jazz festival so far?
Well, I just arrived. I have been here in Wilmington once though. I remember we played in a theater. I do not remember the name of the theater, but I came with a Dizzy Gillespie All-Stars group. It was John Lee on bass, with Cyrus Chestnut on piano, and Paquito de Rivera was in the band too. And we had a percussion player called Duke Lee. And I remember clearly that we played that concert showing the Latin side of Dizzy Gillespie. But that was the only time I've been here in Wilmington. So today I will have a chance. So we just got here now, but it will be my pleasure to drive around a little bit and see a little bit of the town.
Let's focus on you again. 20 jazz albums under your belt, most recent released in September 2011. What keeps you motivated?
Music. I mean, that's because, in all sincerity, if I may say that, the business of music is a tough one. It's very, very difficult to make a living especially as a jazz musician. I mean, we shouldn't kid ourselves. It's the greatest music in the world, but it is very, very, very hard to be able to survive and play jazz only. I left Brazil, to tell you the truth, because in the 60s, all I was doing was studio work and backing up singers, and there was never one jazz solo on a recording. And I'm meeting and hearing all this beautiful, gorgeous music by Milton Nascimento, Egberto Gismonti, and so many others, including the great soccer player Pelé. I played in the horn section on the only album that Pelé did singing. But no chance to play any jazz. So I said, I gotta get out of here and go to the source. where jazz music was born. So I came to the States and I stayed.
Just curious, do you think it's hard or challenging because there are so many artists?
No, I think it's because there are so few opportunities. I mean, I hate to sound, I'm not being negative, I'm just being realistic. That it's so, and it's not only in the United States, it's all over the world. I go to Europe very frequently. There's a great appreciation for jazz in Europe. But in everywhere you go, it's really difficult to make a living as a jazz musician. You're always having to play commercial music. I did my share of weddings and things like that here in the States, you know.
So, in your own opinion, why or how important are events like this? How important is it to keep events like this festival going?
Very important. I mean, very important. This is a major event, and if every town had something like this, imagine how much more opportunity, how much more work could exist for musicians. But you know, the festivals are one thing. The clubs are also very important. And nowadays, when you think of clubs, even in New York City, a lot of musicians are playing for very little money because they want to show their art, their artistry, and you take what you can get. But it's a tough survival. I mean, I keep insisting on this subject because you asked me something related, and that's what I believe. And I just wish that the world would wake up for this fantastic music that was created here in the United States of America, which is jazz.
I'm sure there are plenty of inspiring artists. As a performer, musician, someone who just experienced so much, what advice would you give an aspiring artist?
Well, the music is what should be the greatest inspiration of all. The music right now, the contemporary music, the music of the past. We all should go and check out the past. Like when we talk about Clifford Brown passed away in 1956. That's a long time ago. But the music is still alive, and you go and listen to his records, and you cannot believe how modern he played, how modern he sounded. Just on the way from New Jersey to here today, we were listening to a thing that was recorded off YouTube. Freddie Hubbard sitting in with the Phil Woods Quartet, or Quartet. And Freddie played a Clifford Brown tune, Joy Spring. Unbelievable solo. Now Freddie Hubbard is another of the great masters who already has left us, but the music is here, and we should check everything that we can, but primarily go back to the past and learn from the greats that are gone already.
Well, I think it's pretty cool that you're here, especially since you actually met Clifford Brown. Any fond stories?
I met his wife.
Met his wife, but you've been influenced by his music as well. Any fond memories of any song in particular that you can?
Oh, listen, we are going to play at least 2 Clifford Brown songs at the concert tonight. And you're going to see that I brought a fantastic group of musicians. There are several from Brazil, one from Japan. There's a young lady from Japan that plays euphonium. And so I'll leave that as a surprise for when the music happens. But you can bet that it's going to be a nice program.
Well, I'm so happy to have met you.
Thank you very much, Nichelle. Nice to meet you too.
And I hope you come back to Wilmington.
Thank you.
I
Oh,
really do.
yes. I hope this is not the one and only.
I know. Thanks so much, Claudio Roditi, for being here.
Thank you.
Claudio Roditi, our first person this week